Well, good morning, everyone. I'm the regional administrator at the Child Protection Hotline with the Department of Children and Family Services. So I wanted to share some information. A lot of people are pretty amazed by some of our data. So our hotline last year received almost 208,000 calls. So it's a very high volume. And only about a third of those calls are designated an in-person investigation. So a majority of them are consultations, additional information that we provide to the social workers on open referrals or open investigations. And then we do have situations that we assess and evaluate out where we don't have an in-person response. For some of those evaluated out situations, it could be that there has been an incident that has occurred, but it doesn't fall under our department's purview to investigate. So we do cross-report to law enforcement, community care licensing, as well as out-of-home care, so that they may conduct an investigation on their end if it's necessary. So just to let you know a little bit about our department has over 8,000 employees. About 5,000 of them are social workers, and we operate on a $2.2 billion budget. So we're one of the largest child welfare agencies in the nation, and we do get a lot of visitors that come and tour our hotline just because of the sheer volume that we have. In terms of our callers, 70% of our callers are mandated reporters, and obviously a large percentage of those mandated reporters are teachers, and that makes sense because children spend the most time in schools. So as you might imagine, when schools are out on break, such as right now, our call volume drops dramatically. And then we have peaks in our call volumes in the spring as well as the fall. And for some reason, I think when school begins and then somehow after spring break, the call volume picks up. And that's pretty comparative to other jurisdictions in the state. So at the hotline, we have a pretty large operation to handle all of those calls. We have about 160 social workers that answer the calls. They're the ones that actually receive the information and assess whether we should be investigating or not. We also have 26 supervisors, 5 managers, and we're a 24/7 operation. We never close. So you can imagine, some of the challenges that we face. Sometimes I joke and say, well, can we have 1 hour maybe at Christmas where nobody abuses our kids so that we can all just kind of take a moment? But as you all know, that doesn't happen. So I wanted to demonstrate also the call volume over the last few years. As you can see, there are times that it does go down a little bit and then increases again. But overall, the trend has been increasing. And the difference between, let's say, last year, 2015, comparative to 2008, there's a 12% increase. And you can imagine that this is attributed to, more education about child abuse, better detection of child abuse in terms of mandated reporters, people that have a lot of contact with kids, as well as media influences. There are times that when there are situations that occur either with a child fatality or some litigation case, such as with our school district, then that also increases the call volume. People wanting to consult a lot and not sure whether it meets the reporting criteria. And then we were able to capture some data regarding medical professionals. As Dr. Durfee stated, we're not able to break that down into whether it's, let's say, a clinic calling versus a hospital or what type of medical professional. However, as you can see, the number of reports received from medical professionals have increased in comparison to the previous year. However, the percentage has gone down. And that's because there has been a dramatic increase in reporting from law enforcement as well as school personnel that has increased the actual reporting. So you can see 110,000 referrals comparative to the previous period, 67,000. And then I wanted to break that down and let you know also what types of abuse are being reported by medical professionals. So the highest reporting category is general neglect, which is also in line in general with our department overall. And I also included a fact sheet, 2015 fact sheet for our department, just for your reference later. So what happens when you call the Child Protection Hotline? So as I said earlier, we assess the information. We don't go out on every single call. The information is assessed for reasonable suspicion of abuse or neglect. And if an in-person response is deemed necessary, then during the business hours, we would route that referral to our one of our 19 regional offices, where an emergency response social worker would investigate the allegation. If it's during after hours, weekends, or holidays, then we have our emergency response command post that would investigate the immediate concerns. And then once the allegations are investigated, if they do deem that there's abuse or neglect, then they would consider opening a case. And there's different types of cases, voluntary, court cases where the child remains in the home or is removed from the home. And then the court may order services for those parents in order to either reunify with their child or maintain custody of their child.